a very good morning, boys, girls and fridge freezers, and welcome to another video. And welcome to Glen Etive in the Scottish Highlands. So the first stop on this little adventure around Scotland once again is Loch and Ayr. It's a little mountain lake nestled down Glen Etive, and it's a really pretty little scene. We've got the loch and a couple of mountains in the backdrop, and we're trying to get a photograph of that, but the rain keeps kind of destroying things. But there's kind of a lull in the rain, and there's a little bit of a clear patch of cloud just blowing above the mountains. So let's get the camera set up and take a photograph. So let me very quickly walk you through this composition that I have in mind. We have two mountain peaks either side of this loch. So we've got the loch on the bottom rule of thirds point where it is here in this video, and we've also got these two up here which are going to appear on the rule of thirds point around here in the frame. But there's also some really dramatic cloud. There's a little bit of cloud rolling across the mountain in the background there. There's also some texture, some details as the cloud is now blowing across. There's a little bit of snow capping on there as well. I'm going to try and get that in, hopefully. It's just a case of where the cloud decides to lay. So let's see what happens. Let's see if we can take a nice photograph of the loch and the two mountains either side of it. So I'll swing the camera around a little bit now so I can show you the composition on the back of the camera. So we have the loch just glistening in the bottom rule of thirds point there. There's some greenery that I'm kind of using just to balance it out on that side of the frame. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 little mountains just nestled in the background. A lot of low cloud blowing over that. Ignore the highlight clipping there. I've got it set so it warns me, but it's not actually clipping. It's kind of set so it warns me that it's close to clipping, but in the final image it will be okay. It's a little bit of a shame that the loch is so small and smudged out in the frame down there. I was hoping it would be a little bit more pronounced where I am, but any further back and you kind of lose a lot of the composition. There's a big fence. I don't know if you can see it, there's a fence just growing down that side of it, and I really kind of wanted to avoid that being in the frame. If I underexpose this a little bit, you see F9, one stop underexposure, you see that brings all the sky back, and there's a glorious amount of detail just as the clouds are blowing across. So let's go ahead, we're using a 2-second timer. I've focused at infinity on the mountains. I'm at F6.3, a 15th of a second, and that's giving me the low ISO of 80. I don't want that, I want ISO 200. There we go, get some actual shutter speeds now. 6.3. A 40th of a second, ISO 200, and that's even sorted out the clipping in the sky. Let's go ahead, using a 2-second timer, and take this first photograph. So I'm still standing in roughly the same spot. I've shifted the camera over a couple of feet, and I've zoomed right in on this Olympus 12-40 Pro lens, and it's kind of made the lake a little bit more pronounced, and it's made the mountain a little bit bigger, and we're also able to see through to the mountain behind, which has some snow capping, which I've just managed to capture just now. So it's a different kind of photo from the same spot, a little bit more punched in, but we're just getting a little bit more detail in the mountains in the background. Same settings as before, ironically, f6.3, a 40th of a second, and ISO 200. But I think this one looks a little bit more impressive than the last one. Needs a bit of light, but on a grey overcast day, yeah, what can you do? Here it is. Alright, so I believe you can actually get down to the shore of this little loch, so I think that's what we'll do next. We'll go see if we can get something a little bit closer up of the loch, sprawling water, a nice mountain backdrop in the background. Let's get down there and see if we can take another photograph. Alright, so I was half right. You can get down to the shore of it. There's just not a lot of shore. Kind of limited shooting opportunities. Unless I get creative and jump over something, which is probably what I'm going to do, and I'm going to regret it instantly, but there seems to be a little bit more land over that side. There's a little beck thing running out there. There's a lot of water, a lot of rain. But it's kind of flowing quite quickly, but looks like that's the option, is to stride across there and then get a nice photograph across this lake with the mountains in the background. So we're going to get wet, yay. Success! And I'm only a little bit damp as well. So immediately what I'm seeing is some twigs in the foreground. So I can use some twigs as a foreground interest with the lake sprawling out to the mountains in the background. I just need to figure out a focal length and a shooting position for that camera so I can show you what I'm doing. Let's get some things worked out. I think it might also, it's going to rain shortly. Let's hurry up and get this one done before the mountain completely disappears in the background. Right, so let's figure this photograph out. I'm thinking it's probably going to be a 24mm kind of shot, and it may also need a polarizer. The lake's quite reflective, but I'm in two minds, either polarize it or long exposure it and see if we can get a reflection of the mountains and the lake. I don't know yet. We'll figure that out as we come to it. So let's get something composed. So here we go. So we've got the grass as a foreground interest, the lake sprawling out to the mountains in the background. I'm at f6.3 and I'm going to focus somewhere around halfway through the image. And the reasoning behind that is because your plane of focus is a plane of focus. So everything either side of it gets slightly fuzzier, but you have a dead spot, dead center there in focus. Everything else around of it is kind of in focus. So I'll focus halfway through the image, and that should hopefully allow the depth of field just to spread out a little bit. And it'll get the grass in focus, and it'll also get the background in focus acceptably sharp as well. So, do we throw the live ND on, or do we put a polarizer on? Or do we try both? I think we'll try both. Alright, so first up we're trying the long exposure just to see if flattening the water out creates a reflection of the mountains. I'm not sure it will, but we're going to try it anyway. So I've thrown ND64 on. I'm down to F11, which is giving me a 4-second exposure time at ISO 200. And that's still a little bit overexposed. So 3.2 seconds, F11, ISO 200. Let's see if this gives any kind of reflection in the water. No. Alright, so polarizing filter is on. It is rotated to take some of the shine off of the water. So, two more photographs. Long exposure with the polarizer and a normal exposure without. And we'll just see which one looks the best. Alright, so I've taken two photographs now, and to be honest with you, I'm not really happy with either of them. I think the normal long exposure probably looks the best. The polarizer wasn't really able to rotate enough to take all of the shine off the water. So you've kind of got this crispy clean little bit of water, but we've seen in the background there's a really shiny reflective patch. It wasn't really able to do anything with that. So here's two photographs, and I'm going to put everything back in the camera back because it's now started to rain. So I've just made it back to the car, and you can see behind me, you can't actually see the mountains anymore. The rain came in that quickly, and it was a little bit of an intense shower. It seems to have died off a little bit now, which is a good sign. But yeah, it came in a bit thick and a bit fast. If you're interested in photographing this loch and you want to know where it is, if you're familiar with Glencoe, it's about 8 miles down Glen Etive Road from the A82. So as soon as you enter the valley, you see Glen Etive Road, take a left down there. It's about 8 miles down. It's a bit of an iffy single track road to get down to it, but it's well worth a little visit. You'll find it on your left hand side. You can't really miss it from the road. It's really quite obvious where it is. So if you want to visit this spot yourself, Glencoe, take a left down Glen Etive Road. It's about 8 miles down from the A82. So I've just stopped the car at the side of the road, driving back down Glen Etive Road, heading towards the waterfalls at the end. You'll probably be familiar with the location if you know the area. It's got Bishel, Etive Moor, the big mountain with the waterfalls. Heading there, but I just stumbled across this. There's some power lines and a couple of mountains either side, and I was really kind of drawn to the scene. Now, you just have to excuse me a little bit. The wind has really picked up, which is possibly going to be a theme of the rest of today and certainly into tomorrow. There's 65, 70 mile an hour gale force winds forecast for tomorrow, so today is probably going to be the better of the 2 days. But I just really want to take a photograph of this scene, so let's move across here. It's a bit muddy, it's a bit squelchy. Hopefully there's no cars coming down. So let's look at taking a photograph. I'm just really drawn to these power lines. Let's have a look. Let's get nice and close and make it a big feature. It's going to balance out. There is a mountain there. It's going to balance that out really quite nicely. I hope. I'm going to focus on the power line because it's the subject of the photograph. Let's have a look. We're underexposed a little bit there. F6.3, a 50th of a second, ISO 200, 2 second timer. Clickety click. I'm going to show you that photograph while I get back in the car because it is really bloody windy. Alright, so having spent the last 30 or so minutes in the car waiting for this rain to pass, there seems to be a bit of a break, so I've decided it's now or never. just head down to these waterfalls. And is it the River Couple or is it the River Etive? It's one of the two. Decided, yeah, now it's the time. The wind's really starting to pick up, but there's a little bit of a break in the rain. So I'm just going to try and get one long exposure photograph of the waterfalls and the mountain behind. But yeah, man, the wind really has kind of picked up now. But there we go. This is the waterfalls. That's the mountain behind us. Hopefully get a really nice long exposure photograph using the live ND filter on the OM system. OM-1. The wind, it really has now picked up. So just check out this view behind me. You can see we've got the mountain, Glen Etive Moor, that one there, can't pronounce it, never will be able to, and the waterfalls and the River Couple, and I think these are going to make for a really fantastic long exposure photograph. I just want to work out a little bit of a composition. There's an awful lot of water coming on. There's been rain non-stop today. I'm guessing this is running off all the mountains, which has created some really nice flow of the waterfalls. I guess I just have to find a nice spot to take a photograph from. I want to get it done really quickly. The weather you can see behind us that way, that's all blowing this way. There's some breaks in the cloud, which is great, but I really just want to get this done before the wind and the rain really kind of make it a bust. So let's get the camera set up and take a photograph. So let's grab the camera out of the camera bag. Now, I'm using the Olympus 24-40 Pro lens here, so fingers crossed it's wide enough to fit this entire scene in. So I've set up the tripod here. I'll plant the camera there. There's a tree just off in the distance there. We've got a really big waterfall going on there. Let's just see what we can cram in. I'll probably be more of a wide end, the 12mm 24 full frame kind of end of this, but nice little bit of light catching now, so let's see if we can catch that. Alright, so I've got a composition set up on the camera. I'm kind of using the waterfall as a really big foreground here. We've got the tree in the background and we've got the mountain just off in the distance. I don't know if you can see that very well on there. There's an awful lot of highlight clipping going on in the sky. Now, I don't know if I need to throw a soft edge grad on, but if I put a soft edge graduated filter on, you're going to cut some of the mountain off at the top. So I'm a little bit unsure as what to do here. Unless I rotate it 45 degrees, that may work. Looking at where the clipping is, throwing a polarizing, a 3-stop grad on, that light. An idea. Let's try this. Alright, so camera set up. I've thrown the 3-stop soft edge grad on. I've rotated it about 45 degrees, and that's just taking the shine off of the sky up there, and it's also just calming down some of the light that's just hitting the top of the mountain. Well, actually, I think it's actually a ridge, isn't it? I think it's a 5-mile long ridge. It's quite a long ridge, but whoa, the wind is picking up. So if I show you the back of the camera, I don't know if you can pick this out, but a lot of the highlight clipping has now gone. So I'm down at 2.5 seconds, f8, and ISO 200. So if I use a 2-second timer, this is going to take a long exposure photograph using the built-in ND64 on the OM system OM-1. So I've rotated the camera now into a vertical orientation. I want to take a different kind of photograph. I've taken a lot of landscape style, so I thought we'd go for something a little bit vertical. But if you look over my shoulder, there's a patch of really bright cloud, and the sun is just behind that. And every so often, every now and again, we're getting just a little glimmer of light just shining up the side of the mountain and lighting up some of the grass in front of it. I'm just to hang about and just see, actually, it may be doing it right now. Oh, there is a very thin little slither just appearing on the side. That looks awesome. See if I can reach around. So 4 seconds, f8, ISO 200. If I can find my shutter button on my camera. There was just a small little slither of light just catching on the side of the mountain. And I'm wondering if once this cloud blows away a little bit more, we may be able to get a little bit more of this light hitting the mountain, just creating a little bit of texture, a little bit of light and shadow play, which may look really quite interesting. So it's coming back, the cloud's moving, the cloud is breaking. I'm getting ready on the camera now. I found the shutter button, it's really hard. There's a little bit of light just kissing the top of the mountain as we're talking. 2-second timer, let's try that. It's intensifying, it's getting a little bit stronger now. Hopefully, there's a really nice photo there. So I'm really happy that I managed to catch a little bit of a break in the rain. You can see just how much the weather's changed already, and this is literally a couple of minutes since the last piece of video. I'm really glad we just caught a little bit of a break in the weather, just to be able to grab a couple of photographs from that spot. Now, my original plan next was to go climb up the side of this in the clouds behind me and go take a picture of the Three Sisters of Glencoe. But in this weather, in this wind, I really don't fancy being somewhere so exposed. So I think I'll go back to the car, just chill out, warm up for 10 minutes, and then possibly drive to Lagnabark Hut, which is a place I've visited earlier on in the year, and I took a really quite nice photograph, I thought, of the hut against ye old mountain. And I think we'll head back there and just see if there's something else to be had from there. See if we can grab one more photograph before it gets dark. So welcome to Lagnabark Hut, or whatever it may be. Decided in the interest of I like my camera equipment to be working, I'm going to go handheld. I'm not bringing tripods and bags, I'm just going to bring a camera and a GoPro for this. But check out in this direction, look at that, there's some awesome cloud just breaking, there's some light behind it, which I'm kind of hoping is going to illuminate some of the scene behind me as we go for a walk around there. But let's get down there and just hope for the best, hope we don't lose anything or anything gets wet, because there's still rain in the air, but I get a feeling that some of that light is really going to kick off behind that mountain very shortly, which would be awesome, really. So this is the walk down from a little car parking area. You can see off in that distance all that light that I was talking about. You can see how it's just starting to maybe catch the side of this mountain. So I'm going to go stand on a mound over there where I took a photograph from earlier on in the year. It'll be pretty much the same composition, but the lighting is definitely going to be very much different. That was kind of early morning, there's a lot of blue sky around, a little bit of wispy cloud over the top of it, but the lighting is definitely more favourable this afternoon. I just hope we're able to catch something. So let's get scrambled up on top of here and just see if we can't take a photograph. So I'm on top of my little perchy point now. The wind's picked up again. I am so cold and wet right now, but I don't know if you can see just behind me, there's just an awesome little bit of light just clipping against things. So let's have a look. Handheld, one-handed, is really quite difficult, so I'm just going to throw the lens at 12mm and just hope and pray for the best. So I'm going to focus on the mountain, have a look. It's 1/60th of a second, f6.3, ISO 200. There's an awesome glow to one side of this. I hope it doesn't overexpose, because that would be great if we're able to recover some of that. You can just see the light is just catching ever so slightly on that edge. It looks awesome. Just really don't want it to overexpose. Let's try another one. There's a little bit more break in the cloud now. Boom. Another photograph. It's just awesome just how some of the light is just catching. It's really, really nice. It's nice to come out to a big landscape like this and actually get just a little bit of light, even if it's just for a few moments. It just makes the photographs look just all that little bit more extra special, doesn't it? Yeah. As cold as I am, I'm glad I came. I really am. I think I might have had enough for today. I am freezing cold, wet through, and I've taken photographs of a couple of things that I came here to take, so I think now it may be time just to head for the little hut, overnight accommodation, and just get warmed up, get cleaned up a little bit, and hopefully have something warm to eat. So thank you very much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, please do give it a thumbs up and a like. It really does help the video, and it brings new viewers to see my content. And if you'd like to a little bit more than that, there is a subscribe button below me. You can press that and you'll see more Micro Four Thirds related content every single week. So until the next time, I'm going to love you and leave you and just say peace and goodbye.